So yesterday I have created a user called as a test user. Okay, so let us create one more user. So currently I'm logged in as HR. Right, a show user is the command to see who is the user logged in. So if I try to create a user under HR account, create user, username, something like right, ABCD, identified by ABCD, something I'm creating like this, semicolon, right? It says what? Insufficient privileges. This is what we have seen yesterday, right? Because HR user, currently the HR user cannot have access to what? Create other users, for which we have to log in as what? A system user who is the DBA for this Oracle My System, through which I have connected. So system, I'm creating a user now, ABCD user, ABCD by ABCD. Now it says ABCD does not have a privilege to log into the system. Okay, because only the user is created, but this user is not authenticated to access your databases. Now what should we do for this? We should grant the permissions to this user so that he can log into the database, and we should also grant some other permissions so that he can create the tables and all those, right? So again, to grant these permissions to this ABCD user, someone must be having DBA rights, right? Database administration right, administrator rights, so that only he can give the permissions to this user. So I'm connecting again as system, who is the DBA for my database. Now we'll grant the command we use to grant the permissions to a user is what? Grant. And what are the permissions I need to right allocate to this user? So technically we call them as privileges. So what are the privileges I have to assign to this user? So one, you can see here, create session, right? So like this, there are a number of privileges. They are by default come with what? The database, right? And we'll see how to identify those privileges. So create session, it says what? This guy does not have a create session privilege, comma, one more I am giving, unlimited table space. To which user? To ABCD. So these are the two privileges I have given. So it says what? Privilege name is wrong. Unlimited table space. Okay. So this is fine. So I am able to give what? Two privileges to ABCD user. Now these two, with the help of these two privileges, he can now log in. And also I want to give one more privilege, that is create table privilege, so that you can create the table too. Okay, so now I am logging in as what? ABCD user, because after I got all the privileges, now he can log in, connect ABCD by ABCD. Now he can, now it's not showing you an error. Previously it was showing an error while I try to log in, right? While I try to log in, previously it was showing as an error. What is it? Yeah, ABCD, you don't have privilege to log in. It's not there for you. Now that privilege is given, now I am able to connect, right? Now what I also have, along with this create session privilege, I have also given create table privilege as well, the unlimited table space privilege, right? Now this user can create a table, create table name, okay, test, and one column I am creating is of type number. Let's say I call it as test underscore ID, right? Number of 5 digits, something. I'm now table is created. Okay, along with this create table, other permissions also, like inserting the data into this table and all, insert into test values. What is the value I'm inserting? 1, 2, 3. Now I can insert also. Now this is the new user which we have created, that is ABCD. Okay. But if I have to give the permissions as we discussed yesterday, let's say I have so many users and I have different types of users, and a particular type of user should hold all the specific all similar type of privileges. Let's say my organization has HR. Now whenever I onboard any HR, that HR should have what? Some specific type of privileges, and I can onboard what? Multiple HRs. So what happens here? So for every time whenever I onboard a new user, I have to give what? Permissions like this to every user. Every time I have to add the permissions to like this. This becomes a tedious job. So for which you can do what? Now I'm trying to create a role. Create role name, let's say HR. Says what? You cannot create the role. Why it is saying you cannot create the role here? Yeah, why it is saying you cannot create a role?
Because already HR we have.
Is it because HR is the role already have? You see the message.
No, we don't have permissions.
We don't have the user which have logged in here. Show user.
We don't have
This
permission.
guy, ABCD is the guy who don't have what?
Permission to create roles.
Right. Now for which I'm going to log in as what again? System.
Permissions.
Right. So now I'm going to create a role called as what? Let's say create a role called as role 1 or HR, okay? Something. This what? Now what is the problem?
HR country. Okay, yeah.
Now it says what? There is already a role.
HR.
HR exists in the database.
Yes, yes.
So it is now not allowing me to create this role.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what I do is I'll create a role with the name role 1. But remember this question, right? So there are two questions I have here. First question is, as a user, how would I know what are the privileges available in this system, so that I can assign these privileges to what? Some users. And the second question here is, how would I know what are the existing roles? So because I try to create a role with the name HR, I try to create a role with the name HR, and it says what? There is already a role created with the name HR. How would I know what are the roles available in this system, so that there won't be any conflicts? Getting me?
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
is it clear?
Yes,
Is
sir.
my answer clear?
Yes,
How
sir.
would I
Yes,
know
sir.
what are the privileges available? So previously when I typed, it was showing me he don't have a create session privilege. So I came to know that there is a create session privilege.
Yes, yes, sir.
But there may be lot more privileges like that. How would I know all the privileges? And how would I know all the roles created? Or I am creating a user. Let's say I have created a user called as ABCD. How would I know that ABCD is there or not in the database? Because if I try to create a one more time, if I try to create a ABCD user, definitely it shows me what? Error.
Conflict.
There is a user already exists with the name. How would I know all this information? Okay. So remember these points. We'll come to these points later to identify to address all these questions. So I'm creating a role with the name role 1. Role is created. This is not the user. Who is he? This is a role I have created. Right?
E.
And what is the name of the role?
Role 1.
Role 1. So what can I do to this role now? I can add privileges to a role. Okay.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Grant what privileges? Let's say create session, comma, create table. Time being, I know only 3 roles, 3 privileges. So I'm creating what? Unlimited table space to whom? To whom? To user. Previously we have granted these permissions to what? Privileges
Role
to a
1. Role 1, sir.
I'm applying these privileges to what?
To
To
role
a
1.
role. Role is, this is not a user. It's just a role.
Yes.
So I have created one role called as what? Role 1. And what privileges I have assigned to this role 1? I've assigned the privileges to this role 1 as what? Role 1.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, now what I can do here, I'm going to create a user, one more user, create user, username. Let's say ABCD1 identified by what? Identified by ABCD1. Okay. The user is also created. Now, can I log in with this user? Can I log in with this user? I'm also
Uh,
creating multiple
ye-
users. Create
ye-
user ABCD2 identified by ABCD2. Okay. I'm also creating one more user called as what? ABCD3. So these are very newly created users. Can I log in? Connect ABCD1 by ABCD1. I cannot. It says what? It does not have a privilege to log into the system. Okay. Now say me how would I add the privilege to this ABCD1?
you have
Anyone?
to you have to go to system and
I have to
system.
go to system. Okay. I have logged in a system now. Yeah. Then next.
Then create permission to it, like grant
Grant
permission.
role. Okay.
Grant
Grant privilege to what? User.
to ABCD one.
One. Is there any other way I can do this?
Uh, or you can add role to it.
Right. Or I can add a role to user, right? That is better.
Yes, yes,
Because
sir.
that role has how many privileges? That role has
These
three
three
privileges.
really. Yes,
Now instead of adding them individually, I do what?
you can add role so that you get
Grant.
the permission.
What is my role name?
Role one
Role 1 to whom?
to ABCD one.
ABCD1, comma, ABCD2. Like this, how many users you want to add? You can add. Okay. Now let's see here. Grant succeed. Now what is this role 1? Role 1 has how many privileges? This role 1 has 3 privileges, right? So those privileges are create session, create table, and unlimited table space. Now I have granted what? Roles. I have granted what? Role to a user. ABCD1 and ABCD2 are users. Yes? Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes,
Everyone, can you confirm?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now this ABCD1 and ABCD2 can do what?
They can
ABCD1
create and
log in. Previously this guy is unable to log in. You see here. This guy is unable to log in. Now we added what? Instead of a privilege, we added a role to this guy. And that role has what? Privileges. Okay. Now this guy is able to connect now. Now what else he can do? He can create a table, and he can also do what? He can insert, delete, and all those operations he can perform, right? Now in the same way, can the ABC tool also can log in? This guy also can log in because we have added a role to users. It's a 3 steps process, and this is easiest process than the before approach. Before we are adding privileges, individual privileges to what? Users. Sometimes what happens, you may forget some privileges. Okay. Okay. So that is what we have. Now previously, like if you have to add privileges for this ABCD1 and ABCD2, you have to add like this, right? And if you forget anything, it becomes what? It is tedious job. So now this is very simple to add. You have created a role. To that role, you have added to what? Users. Now ABCD3 we have not added any role. So what happens now? ABCD3 cannot log in. So with ABCD3 user, you cannot log in. User is created, but he cannot log in. Simple. Now if I want to add, you can add what? Role to ABCD3. Okay. So that is what we have. Now if I want to revoke, let's say I want to add new. If I want to add a new, right, permissions to what? New privileges to the existing users. What can I do now?
Just
One second, guys. Right. Now I'm going to grant new permissions. What is that? Create view, right? Create sequence. To what? I'm adding these two again new permissions to what?
to roll
Role
one.
one.
Yes.
I have added them to role one. Okay. Now this role I can add to what? This role I can add to what? Grant role one to whom now? To ABCD. Let's say 3. Now what permissions this? What privileges this ABCD3 has now?
Only view and sequence.
Only these two. This role one has previously 3 privileges we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
added.
Three with the five it have.
It will have now 5, right?
Five.
Now we'll try to log in as what? ABCD3. Now I'm able to log in. Now he is able to what? Create table. He is able to what? Create sequence. Let's create a sequence. Create sequence. Sequence name. Something like SEQ1. Now sequence is created. But this privilege was not there to what? Now is this privilege is also applied to what other users? This create sequence and all. Think and say me. These are the
Yes.
two new privileges I have added to what? Role 1. Are these privileges also applied to what? To the previous ABCD1 and ABCD2 users? Yes, no. Previous users ABCD1 and ABCD2. For them also this
Yes.
new privileges added?
Yes, sir.
Yes, they are added. Because you are added the privileges to what?
Privilege to roles, no.
Role. And this role is there for what?
This two.
This user. So they automatically get these privileges. Okay. Now if I now let's try to create a sequence under this ABCD1 also. Right. So what is that sequence under ABCD1? I'm able to create. Now how would I revoke this privilege? Right. If I want to revoke them, I should log in as what? System user. I need a DBA for every thing. Granting the permissions, revoking the permissions, creating the users. You must be in what? A DBA. Okay. So let me revoke what privilege? Revoke. Create. What is it? Sequence. From where? From role 1. Revoke means what? Take out this privilege from role 1. It is revoked. Okay. So who are the users don't have this sequence creation permission? ABCD1, 2, 3. They should not have technically. Let's say connect ABCD1. Let's create one more sequence. Sequence 2. Says what? You see here. We revoke the privilege from what? We revoke the privilege from role. This role is owned by what? ABCD1. Now I logged in as ABCD1 and I am trying to create what? A sequence under ABCD1. Previously I was able to do. You see here. Here I logged in as ABCD1. I created a sequence. I am able to create it. But I revoke the privilege from what? Role 1. And now ABCD1 is unable to create what? Sequence. Now only ABCD1. Any other users now unable to create this?
All the three users.
All the 3 users unable to create it because the same role is given to what? 3 users. Getting me? The same role we have assigned to what? 3 users, ABCD1, ABCD2 and ABCD3. None of the user is able to create now the sequence, but they can create what? Views and all. So this is the simplest, right? So this is the simplest way of creating what? Privileges
In
assigned to
permissions.
what? Roles. Then roles are assigned to what? Users. But still, you can give this permission still, right? Still more level, we'll see here. So grant these are the permissions to what a user called as demo. So instead of granting like individually the privileges to a user, we can create what? Roles. A role is nothing but a group of privileges. In simple, you can understand a role is nothing but a group of privileges. So here you have group of privileges. They are assigned to what? A role called as manager, and that manager role is assigned to what? Different users. This is much simpler than this, right? So allocating the privileges to what? Different users. You need to know different privileges. There is a possibility of what? Forgetting few roles, a few privileges and all. That will become tedious, right? So create a role, grant the privileges to role, and assign the role to what? Users. Okay? So that is the best mechanism we have. Right? Now if you want to change the password, the same thing. Alter username, identify the same command to change the password. You don't have a different command to change the password. Alter username identified by password. Okay. Now we have seen privileges, giving the privileges to what? Users. Is there any way to give the privileges to what? Objects also? When I say the objects, tables. Now I'm a user. I logged in as a ABCD one, right? I logged in as a ABCD one. Now I want to access what? Select start from emp underscore dummy. This table is under what user? This table is under what user? This table is under HR user. Right? Yes, no.
Yes.
I logged in as ABCD1, you can see this. And I am trying to access the table from what? HR user. Definitely, one user cannot access the objects of what? Other user. Okay? That is a by default. One user cannot access the objects, means when it's objects, tables, sequences, views, whatever you have, these things cannot be accessed by what? Other users. Now is there any way I can give permission or privilege to other users so that they can access the tables? So I mean to say now, I want this ABCD1, I want this ABCD1 to access what? A employee dummy table of what? Which user? HR user. Can I give that level privileges also? You can give object level privileges, right? So if you want to give object level privileges, same command you use grant on what object you want to give the permission to what user. Okay, again if you want to restrict, you can restrict. Now you see here, grant select is my object privilege on employees to some other user. We'll try this, right? So what I'm granting here, to grant it again I need to log in as what? Now if you see here, previously observe the query, I am logged in as ABCD user. I'm trying to access employee dummy table. I'm unable to do it. Select is the query which I want to apply on what? Employee dummy. Now I want to grant that table permission to what? ABCD1, for which I have to log in as what? Again system. Now I'm going to grant object level privilege. Again on that object you can perform what? Multiple data manipulation operations, isn't it? Select, insert, update, delete, like this. Okay. Now I'm only giving what? Select permission to whom? To which user? Right. Select permission on which table? Grant select permission on which table? HR database, HR schemas, which table? emp underscore dummy table, isn't it? Are you able to connect this? Grant select on which table? HR users, employee dummy table. To whom you want to grant this?
Oh,
To whom you want to grant this?
ABCD.
ABCD 1. Now this is grant a object level privilege on one table to what? ABCD1. This object level privilege. Okay. Now let's see, we grant this. This is granted successfully. Now only select permission is given on which table? On HR users dummy employee dummy table to whom? ABCD1. Okay, let's log in as ABCD1 now to see whether this ABCD1 can access the table. Select start from which table? You can use HR dot. Actually, previously also you could have used HR dot emp dummy. That was wrong. Emp dummy. You see that? So previously also, actually I could have used here HR dot emp dummy. You might have get the same error. So here, if you don't use the username, so what is the problem with this select queries? I did not use the username here, HR dot emp dummy. Okay. So it is actually searching inside what? It is searching in ABCD user, ABCD1 user. Okay. It's not searching in HR database. That was wrong query actually. But still, you might have got the same error. But not the tabular view does not exist. You might have got the error saying what? There is no privilege to access HR users EMP dummy. Otherwise, we'll do one thing. So we have, let's say here. So we have given permission only to access what? HR users, HR users what? EMP dummy table. Now I'm trying to access some other table. What is it? Departments of which user? Again, right? So I logged in as ABCD user. I guess everyone see it, right? Show user is ABCD1. Now I'm trying to access what? HR users department table. Departments table. Okay. You see it says what? Spelling mistake. Right? It's fine. So you see here employees table. LOYEES. It says what? No, you don't have, you cannot access this employees table. But when I try to access this HR database EMP dummy table, now you can see you are able to access. Why this ABCD user able to access this HR database, this table?
We gave
Privilege.
Because we give permission. Right? We gave the permission to access. And which permission we gave? We gave only what permission? We gave only select permission. Okay. Where is that? We gave only select permission. Can I insert some record into this database? Can this user can insert or delete? Delete
no.
from which table? EMP underscore. It's not EMP underscore dummy. HR dot EMP underscore dummy. Okay. Where employee underscore ID less than 150. This is what it says. What it says, boss, you cannot delete from this table. Why? Because while we have given the privilege to this user, we have given only select privilege. You can just recollect if you only select privilege is given, so that this ABCD user only can select the data from what? This table. But I'm trying to delete here. You see there it says what? You don't have a privilege to delete this records. Okay. Okay. 1 second, guys. Okay. So now this guy cannot do what? He can only select, right? ABCD can only select the records from what? EMP dummy table, but he cannot insert, delete, update, and all those things. So you can also grant the privileges to object level to users. Right, so this is how you can grant the privileges. Grant what is that object level privilege, and also here interesting, you can see you can grant a permission on a particular column, right? So here let's see. All right, here you see, is there any example on a particular column? All right, so here you see that what I do, I will log in as what, I will log in as system. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a privilege to ABCD1. What privilege I'm giving this time? Update privilege. Grant update privilege, but I don't want to give this updation on all columns. Okay, I want to give update permission to this user ABCD1 on only, let's say, salary, or let's say first name. He can only update what, first name, but he cannot change what, salary. So what are we doing? Grant update on what, first name, on which table, on this table, to which user, this user, right? Now just I'm granting this permission. Now you see here, so you can give the permission to a particular column, right? So you can grant a permission to a user on a particular column, that I did. Now let's log into again ABCD. Just let's log in as again ABCD 1 and ABCD1, comma ABCD1. Now this guy can now select the data from this dummy table. Okay, this is fine. Also you can update, because we have given update permission. Okay, update what table? HR users emp underscore dummy table, right? Set, right? Salary is equal to some 10,000, where employee ID is equal to 206. See here what it is saying. If you look at it, it says what, you don't have insufficient privilege. Why it says insufficient privilege? We have already we have given update privilege to that user, but we did not give that privilege on salary column. We have give that update privilege on what, first name column, right? So if you look at this, I'll try to modify the first name now. Are you able to follow me? Can someone respond?
Yes, Kram.
Okay. So I'm just trying to modify the first name column now. First name 206. Name here, if you look at in the database, it is William. I'll try to change it to uh, new William. Okay, or updated something William. I'm not sure whether it allows me this much of data in that column, but let's try. You see 4 rows updated. Interestingly, there are 4 Williams, right? So 4 rows updated, but when I tried this update query on salary, it was not allowing me on the same table, but it is allowing me to update what, the first name, because the privilege which we have given.
So, do we have duplicated employee IDs then?
Yes, there are, because I have created, there are you can see 206 here.
Okay, okay.
There are duplicate employee IDs in the database. There are more. Okay, we'll see one thing, because we can select now where employee underscore ID is equal to 206. You see, all are updated to what? There are 4 employees with the 206. All, everyone's first name is updated to what? Updated William. You can see that there are 4 actually. Okay, you see there are 4 rows updated. There are 4 employees with what, 206, and all their names have modified to what, updated William. Okay, so this level also you can give privileges. There are only 2 things: grant and revoke. Right here there is public means what? Any user. All users can access this table. Select operation on what? This table. This is again by default right user group, I can say user group kind of thing, right? So this is what we have. So this is how you can create what roles, apply the roles to what users, grant the privileges, revoke the privileges. You can grant the privileges to object level. You can do all those stuff. Very important. But most of the time, this is the DBA. But the other two questions which I asked was, how would I know what privileges are there? How would I know what roles are there? How would I know what users are already there so that there won't be any naming conflicts while I'm creating what? A new user or a new role. How would I know all this information?
Can't you ask the question once again?
How would I know all this information, right? Yeah, Jyoti, go ahead.
No, I didn't get the question at all.
So I was asking you, right? So let's say I'm trying to create a user. Okay, let's try to create a user. Or let me try to. Okay. So you have seen all these things. Create sequence. These are the questions previously asked. Sequence 1. It says, boss, you don't have privilege to create this sequence. Okay, right? Now there are lot more questions we can ask. We need to understand here. Now I have users like ABCD1, ABCD2, ABCD3. Okay, these are three users just now I have created. Right? Now how do I know what are the privileges these users are all having? Someone have granted the privileges to them. How would I know which privileges these users are having? That is the first question. Let's say I'm trying to create a new user. I switched into what? System account. I switched into system account and I'm trying to create a new user. But how would I know who are the already existing users so that I can give a new name? And I'm trying to create what? A new role. So what is it? Create role. And role name called as what? If I say role 1, it's already exists. You say what? It says what? Role is already exist. How would I know what are the roles exist in my database?
Say
So
show all.
so
So
that I can create a new role. How would I know which privileges are there for each user?
Privileges? I don't know.
Now how would you know what privileges these users have? Now I'm trying to create a role 1, right? So previously I tried to create a role called as what? HR role. It says what this role is already there. How would you know as a user? How would you know as a user what are the existing roles? Or what are the privileges a particular user has? Or how many users are there in my database? How would I know all this information?
I
Or
think
what are the tables are there under that particular user? What are the tables are there under that particular user? And let's say if I want to know more about what a table, let's in previous sessions we have created what tables with constraints. You remember chief user and user type tables we have created, and where we have given some constraints. How would I know what constraints are applied on that table so that while I am inserting the data, I will insert properly. If you don't know the privileges, ultimately by how many number of times you insert, there may be a choice of what your insert query may fail. Yes, no. Are you getting my questions?
yes, sir.
Yes, Kranti.
How will you know as a user that a table has these many columns, and on each column these are the constraints applied? If you don't know the constraints of what are the constraints applied, definitely you cannot do what? You cannot insert the data. You will end up with what? Some violation errors, isn't it?
Yes, yes, sir.
How would you know how many tables are there under a particular user? First of all, how would I know how many users are there in my database? So that while creating a new user, I don't get naming conflicts.
You need to Log
If I
into
have a
system
user,
and
if I
show
have a
user.
user, okay, fine. I know the user called as what? ABCD user. I logged in as ABCD user, ABCD1 user. And how would I know? Now I try to create what? I try to create a sequence under him, or I am trying to create a what? A view under him, but it's not allowing me because it says what? This user does not have any privilege to create what? Sequence. How would I know what privileges this ABCD1 is having? If you don't know the privileges, definitely you cannot perform what? Definitely you cannot perform operations here. It will be very difficult for you, isn't it? Someone has created this ABCD user, let's say. Some HR, some admin has created this user, and that user wants to perform some actions, but he does not know what are the privileges he has to create tables. Yeah. Okay. Any answers for this? Very
I,
important answers.
I think we need to log into system and show users command if you run.
Okay, you log into system and you type what? Show users.
Yes.
Show user will give you what?
The system no show all the roles or
No, no. That is MySQL. This is not. This is Oracle, right? So to answer all these questions, there is only one answer you have. That is called as data dictionary. That is called as what? Data dictionary. So what is a data dictionary technically, right? It's very important again. So data dictionary, you might have heard about this term very often in various technologies. So data dictionary is nothing but dictionary about the data. You have data, right? You have some data like a table name, or right, table column names, or users, or user privileges. You have some data, but information about this data again. Information about this data is stored into what? Some tables. Those tables are called as what? Data dictionary tables. If you see the dictionary, you'll have a word. For that word, there are different meanings, and all are maintained, right? Synonyms and all are maintained in the dictionary. So it's like a dictionary. Dictionary will give you what? If you want to know alternate name meanings or synonyms and all, you can go find the dictionary and get the information about that word in the dictionary, isn't it? Are you getting me? In the same way, data dictionary, Oracle and other databases maintains data dictionary tables. What we call them as data dictionary tables. So the purpose of these data dictionary tables is what? They store the information about what? Data dictionary tables are predefined tables. They store what? They store the information about what? Information about other objects. Other objects. When I say what? Other objects or other users, whatever. So when I create a user, let's say for example, when I create a user, that user information is getting stored into what? Some backend table. That is by default happens. When I create a table, when I create a table, that table's related information, all the column details, columns data types, they are maintained in some backend tables. Those tables are called as, those tables are called as data dictionary tables. Right? So those tables are called as data dictionary tables. There are different data dictionary tables you have. Right? I will give you the list. There is a huge list of data dictionary tables you have. So I want to see all the users information, right? So now the select query only. Select start from. So Oracle has a table called as all underscore users. What is this all underscore users? This all underscore users is a table. This is a table which is internally a predefined table kind of thing, you can say. It's a predefined table which comes with what? Oracle. Now whenever you create a user, this table will have all the users information. You see here, all underscore users. See here, I have created how many users? If you remember, recollect the yesterday's session and all, today's and all. You see here, test user we have created. Which date? We have created on 7th June test user. Now yesterday we have created a user called as what? Chief user. Yesterday we have created. This user's ID is what? 49. We have created one more, three users just now. ABCD, ABCD1, like 4 users we just now created. See there? So when I create a new user now, let's say I create a new user, create user, username, right? ABCD4 identified by what is it? ABCD4. Right, so this is a new user created. Where is this user's information is stored? What date it is created? And all this information is stored inside a table called as all underscore users. Now what is this all underscore users is called as? You see here, ABCD4 just now I have created 16th June here, right? So what is this all underscore user? Anyone can say this? Can anyone say what is this all underscore user?
It's a
One
table
It's
which
a
stores user.
which
table.
stores
It's a table, and this table is storing the information about what?
all the roles in the
About other users, right? So this table is called as what? Data dictionary table. Like this, you have so many tables. I'll show you some tables, right? So if I describe, so as a user now, as a normal user, you can only do what? Select operations on these data dictionary tables. You don't have permissions to what? Delete or update on this. Let's say I want to delete a user. The command is what? Drop user. Username. Which user I want to drop? ABCD4. This user now got dropped. Now let's see that the data dictionary table. You have only 22 rows. Previously there were 23 rows. Now that ABCD4 is also removed from what? This data dictionary table. Can you see this? Right. Previously there were 23 rows, and this is 22. You can describe actually. Describe what? All underscore users. This is the table which is storing. It has only 3 columns. It is going to store username, and there is implicit ID given to every user, and it is also storing what date this user is created. Okay, can I insert the data into this table? You cannot do that. Whenever I create a user, by default that user related details are getting stored into what? This table. Okay, now we have created a table called as describe. Okay, let me switch into what? User, HR user. Okay, connect HR by HR. Now we have created a table called as what? Did I create the tables? Okay, how would I know how many tables are there under this HR user? How would I know what tables are there under this HR user? Again, that table's information is stored into one backend table called as select start from. I was using this syntax before. Tab. What is this tab here? What is this tab? This tab is what? What is this tab? Tab is again a data dictionary table, right? You want to see? Describe tab. So tab is a table. It's backend. It's a backend table. So whenever you create new table, the table name, right? The type of the object, whether it is a table or it is a view or it is a what sequence, the type, what type of object it is, the type, and which cluster it is belongs to. These three information is stored into what? A table called as what? Tab, right? So we have created a table called as what? Chief users. Is it chief user 1 or chief user? Some table we have created, right? Now let's say I describe this chief user. Describe chief underscore user 1, let's say. So it is showing me all the columns. Describe command is showing me all the columns and their data types. But how would I know what constraints are there in this table? I want to, if I don't know what constraints are there in this table, definitely I cannot insert the data into this. So how would I know what constraints are there in this table? Can anyone give me the answer at least now?
So you
I want to know what constraints are there, which is primary key, which is foreign key, right? Which is not null, which is unique. It's not displaying actually here when you describe it.
yes, yes.
But I want to know what are the constraints are there on this table. Can anyone give me the answer? I'm not exactly expecting the answer, just a
Means
theory.
uh, disk.
Hmm. Guys, did you understand what I was explaining? Yeah, what could be the answer for this question?
Show con.
No. I am expecting not the query. I'm not expecting the query. What is the answer? Where is that? Where is that constraints information is stored?
The column level or table level, sir.
Where is that constraints information? I want to know the constraints. Here it is showing only not nulls. Okay. But I want to know other constraints applied on this table. How would I find it? Guys, are you getting my question? Is no one responding? Why?
Thinking.
Yes.
Yeah, what is the
Uh,
answer for that question? How would I find the user's information? From where I find the user's information? What is that table called as?
table. Uh, do, table. Show all users. Means all
Correct.
underscore users
That's
units
fine,
table.
correct. But what is the generic answer you can give for this question? Generic. It's not specific, I'm asking. How would I find constraints applied on a particular table? Where can I find all this information? I'm expecting a generic answer for this.
From the system.
No. Generic answer. What? There is a common answer you can give for all these questions. How would I find what are the privileges are there on a particular user?
You can
Hmm. How would I find what are the existing privileges in my database? How would I find what are the existing roles in my database? Generic answer you can give for all these questions. Where do we find all these answers? What are the constraints are there on my table? Right? What are the users are there in my database? What are the privileges are there for this user? What are the roles are existing roles are there in my database? Happy birthday. Happy birthday. What are the existing roles are there in my database? And what are the privileges are added to that roles? How would I find all that information?
with data dictionary.
Data dictionary tables.
Yes.
Okay. So there are so many data dictionary tables you have. There are so many data dictionary tables you have. It's not one or two tables you have. So let's say I'm going to describe one more table called as user underscore privileges. Not users underscore privilege. Table underscore privilege. Just I want to know what not the privileges on the table. What is it? Constraints I want to know, right? User underscore constraints. This is a table. This is also a data dictionary table. See here, user underscore constraints is a table which is going to store about what? Lots of information. Who is the owner of that table? What is the constraint name given? what is the type of constraint and table name. Let's see, we'll select these 4 columns. What are the 4 columns I want to select? Select table name. Data dictionary tables are one generic answer is data dictionary tables. Who is the owner for this table? Comma, constraint name, constraint underscore name if you have given any name. And what is the other one? Constraint type. Which type of constraint it is? Type. From which table? These are the 4 columns. From which table? These 4 columns belongs to a table called as what? User underscore constraints. This is a table name. And which tables information you want to see? Where table name is equal to what? Chief underscore user. It says what? There are no constraints on this table. Okay. User 1. Do we have chief underscore user and see here? User 1 table has different constraints. Chief underscore user 1. Who is the owner of this? Who is the owner of this table? See here. Chief underscore user 1 is a table name. The owner of this user is what? HR. He is the owner. And what is the name of constraint? Constraint name is f underscore n underscore n, and this is the name I have given. What is the type of constraints? C means what? C means what?
Check constraint.
Check constraint. Right? Again, I did not give some name here. It is giving me what? So what we do is we'll simplify this. I don't want to print the table name. Just I want to print. Uh-oh. I just want to print the owner name from this table. User underscore constraints. What is user underscore constraints? It's a table. It's a table which is storing what? The constraints about each table, right? So what is the table name? The which tables constraints I'm getting chief underscore user 1. There are so many. Total 8 constraints we have. How many constraints we have? 8. DID underscore foreign key. Differential integrity. R means what? This is a foreign key. So if you want to know column name also, you can get column name also. Which column has which constraint? If you want to get, you can print that column name also. Describe user underscore constraints. So let's see what column it is. The table name. Right? Okay, 1 second. Okay. So is there any way I can find the column name here? Search condition if you have given a condition for which, right? So table name we have, constraint name we have, constraint type we have, status we have, whether it is enabled or disabled kind of status we have. If there is a index created on that columns, you can find the indexes which are created on that columns. Okay. And this table does not have any column name actually. It's not storing any column name here. It's storing only, right, constraints information. Like this you have so many tables, right? And these tables are storing your backend information, and we call these tables stores what? The information about, right, a user, our privileges and all. Okay. And tables information, this is the table which is storing what? Constraints of a table. Now let's say we have created 3 users, right? A B C D 1 2 3. Now I want to identify what are the privileges are there for this user, right? There will be one table which is storing what? User privileges. Maybe the table is describe all underscore privileges. So what is spelling? Privileges. Is it correct? Does not exist. Does not exist. This table is not there. All underscore privileges. So I'll show you where are these privileges and all stored. So these are all very important tables. Data dictionary tables. See here. If you want to find user privileges, you can find these privileges in this one. Role underscore system underscore. This is system privileges granted to roles. Table privileges granted to roles. Roles accessible by a user. Okay. Okay. Right, like this you have so many tables here. This is only for roles. Right. You have so many tables. The table name is not privileges, previs. Okay. User system privileges. So what is this table is going to give me? Describe user system privileges. Okay. Okay. So we'll see them. So what are the users? What are the privileges they have? So what I'm going to do is select username, which user, and what privileges he has. Privilege, privileg, privilege, from which table? User underscore system underscore privs. See, we have connected as HR. Yes, we have connected as HR. Now HR user has what privileges? Create view, unlimited table space, create database link, create sequence. These are the privileges this HR has. Getting me? Hello, are you there, guys?
Yes,
Hello.
Kranti.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So these are the privileges that HR user is having. Now if I connect as what? ABCD1 and ABCD1. Now I want to see what privileges this user has. What is that query? Again, the same query I'm typing. Says what? This user does not have no row selected for this user. Why?
In,
Means this user's information is not saved in that. So what we do
in,
is we'll try to print all the users from this table, not the privileges. Actually, this table has only HR users information, and we'll connect a system. Let's see, connect system by system. Because we have assigned a role to ABCD1, that is a problem, right? She's giving only systems information, right? So because we have assigned a role for ABCD, I guess why it is not coming up with, because we have assigned a role to this user ABCD. We did not assign the privileges. We assigned a role, so I can find the role related information. So here, role system privileges is the table, right? Select start from which table? Role underscore. There are so many tables like this. Each table stores one particular information. Is huge concept actually. You need to know what are the tables. Try to remember them. Table or view does not exist. Is the spelling correct? ROLESYSPRIVS. It says what this is not exist. Maybe I need to switch into some other user. Let's see. System has this, but that one does not have. Right. So there are, if you can see here, if you want to identify a particular user's privileges, we want to identify particular user's privileges. All table starts with what? User underscore. So there is a convention actually. There are few tables starts with a all underscore. The example I have given what? All underscore users. This will store these tables which starts with what? All. The tables which starts with all, those tables stores all the information about what? Every user. Okay, information about what? Every user. Now there are some tables, they start with what? User underscore. User underscore. They store the information about what? They store the information about that particular user. Okay, and there are some tables they start with what? DBA underscore. They store complete database information. Okay, so if you want to know particular users related information, you can find the tables with name what? User underscore. Right, if you want to find all users information, you can go to what? The tables called as what? All underscore. Right, so I want to find the information about what? ABCD user. Right, so let me log in as ABCD. Now what are the roles assigned to this ABCD? I want to know. So I guess the table which is storing that users related information is what? User underscore role underscore privilege. Right, so now let's see things. Select user underscore role under, not the system. He does not have privilege. Select start from. So what privileges this user has? See, ABCD user has, see here. Select start from user underscore. So I chose user underscore role. ABCD user has what role? ABCD user has a role called as what? Role 1. Yes, no. This role has multiple privileges. Now if you want to find the privileges of that role, you may find some of that information in some other table. Right, and if I want to find what are the privileges given to that user on a different objects, now this is the table. Now ABCD user has some other privileges, right? For HR table, I'm just copying this. What is it here? Copy this, paste. No row selected. Tab it is showing. There may be something granted to user. So this is, you need to know, there are lot tables you have. You need to know which table is storing what kind of privileges. But most of the time you don't get into these kind of things. You see here, this user, who is the user I logged in? ABCD is the user I logged in. So I want to know what are the privileges this user has on some other tables. It says what? This user has a privilege on HR, EMP dummy table, and what is the privilege he has? Only select. Also he also has what? Update also, right? So like this. So here every information whatever you do at user end, when you create a user, when you grant privileges, when you create a table under that user, and you add what constraints to the table, every information is maintained at backend tables. Those tables are called as what? Data dictionary tables. And each data dictionary table contains specific information, right? All underscore users contains users information only. Tab contains all the tables of that user, right? Like this, you have very big data dictionary table. So many you have. Now if you want to know all the privileges which are there in the existing in database, there may be some data dictionary table. Uh, is there any table here given which gives us all the roles existed in this database? There is no table given here in the example, but there will be one table can give you what? Let's say all underscore privileges. I'm just trying. Select start from all underscore privileges. If this table is there, no, it says what? There is no table with the name all underscore privileges. No, all underscore roles. What are the roles are there? Just I want to find. No, maybe all underscore system underscore something like that. You have a table. Just I'm trying different combinations. This table is also not there. So you'll find these tables, right? And you can find such kind of tables in your databases where from by using which you can get what? All the information about the database users or whatever, right? So those tables are called as data dictionary tables. Just I'm searching. Yeah, these are the data dictionary tables. No. Just I'm searching few data dictionary tables information where I can find. These tables related to what roles and privileges and other. No, in this document you don't have data dictionary tables information. It may be there in some other maybe SQL Word document you have. So this is called as what data dictionary tables. Fine. Fine. So example tables like cat, tab, all underscore users, right? And user underscore constraints, which stores what all the constraints of a table, right? Uh, and if you want to know users information, privileges information, like you have tables which stores what privileges information, and all this is called as what data dictionary tables. There are huge number of tables you have. Just for demonstration purpose I gave you few tables information. Just search for some other tables, more tables, where you can find more information about your tables. Okay, and those are called as data dictionary tables. Is it okay? You have any questions on these data dictionary tables? There may be so many data dictionary tables. It's not one, two tables you have at the back end. There are so many you have. I too don't know all the tables names which are there in the back end, but there are so many you have. You have any questions on these data dictionary tables? So as a user, all you can perform is what? Select operations on the data dictionary tables to know more information about a table, to know more information about a user, and to know more information about what roles, privileges exist in the database. Okay. So let me find if there are any tables here in this document. Just all you need to create queries. No, in this also you don't have any data dictionary tables. Fine. You have any questions you can ask about these data dictionary tables? There may be a number of data dictionary tables. I'm just searching here. If you have any questions, you can ask. Meanwhile, I find some tables. It's not there in this document also. All underscore indexes, see here. All underscore indexes, user underscore indexes. What are the indexes created on? Right, yesterday we have created indexes, right? Select start from, what is it? User underscore indexes. Now this user we did not create any indexes. We have created indexes under what? User, HR user, I guess, right? So connect HR by HR and select, what is it? User underscore indexes. It will store all the information about what? Indexes created. Big, so many indexes you have, because there are so many tables are there under HR. Oh, it's not stopping it. Right. So these are all data dictionary tables. Okay. How to find all the existing roles in the database? Let's see. Is there any? There is no roles at all here. There will be some table which is storing all the roles. I don't remember the table name. Otherwise, we could have find all the roles which are existing. No, this document does not have that. That's okay anyway. So I hope you have understand what is this data dictionary tables are. There are huge number of tables you have, and to find the information about the tables. Okay. You have any questions? You ask. Otherwise, we'll wind up the session now. You can go for a
Okay.
break and come back.
Okay, sir.
And this is the end of SQL, right?
Okay.
How to write queries, select data manipulation operations, data definition operations, transaction related, and what data control, other objects like views, sequences, indexes. Okay, then what is the data dictionary tables, how to create roles, how to give privileges to what users for security and all, lot more things. Okay,
Mm.
so if you want to go for a break, go and come back, then we'll start what PLSQ.
Really? Okay. How many minutes, sir?
How long we have to
We'll
talk?
go for half an hour break.
Okay, at 10 will. Okay, sir.
Yeah, we'll meet at by 10 o'clock. If possible, I'll come to classroom. If possible, okay.
Okay, sir.
How about classroom participants? No one is speaking.
Sir,
Classroom,
if you come to class, will you let me know, sir? I'll come.
maybe in 5 10 minutes I'll message in the WhatsApp.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. I think my mobile data is not there sufficient. I must come to class. It's almost over now.
Okay, okay. Adana. Okay, sir.
I'll update you anyway. How about classroom? No one is speaking. Is it okay?
Yeah, okay, sir.
Yeah, is the data dictionary concept is okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you have to identify the data dictionary table. There are huge number you have, and each table stores one information. Indexes will go into some tables. Constants will go into some tables. User information will go into some tables like this. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Then, if you don't have any questions, we'll meet after half an hour.
Okay.
I'll share the new link, right, for PLSQL.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, sir.